Chill here with Sirius Taurus Moon. This is Jupiter, our Mars day. And the moon is ruling Jupiter is 5 degrees Scorpio, midheaven 28 degrees Scorpio, um, ascendant ruled by Saturn. Saturn is still retrograde, right? Sometimes the way the picture appears can make it look like something has happened, but it's not November 28th yet. Just to make sure. I missed my mother's birthday this week. It was so funny. It was a week of preparations, me being happy, and then on the very morning making so many mishaps. And beta per se was minima. So, um, what can I say? I will definitely make sure to make up for it later this month. And Saturn is not retrograde. Moon in Scorpio. So first of all, the couple of days of Moon in Scorpio, Jupiter makes everything, every place it goes big. Okay? So, um, yeah, in Cancer, it is emotions. Um, and so when the Moon is in Scorpio, we tend to have an emotional purgatory. Which is going into the deep of the water of the well and making sure that nothing stays polluted once any planet transits through Scorpio. Moon is our emotions. So Jupiter makes everything even bigger. So how we feel underneath could be revealed. A big emotional purge that I saw today when I was tending to the topic of missing children, and some of the energies just didn't see what's wrong in kidnapping, torturing, and using a child to extort an oil company or assassinate an oil company. And I just had to wait a second. What was I just reading? Like, I wasn't even reading into the energy of the person. Like, just energy came to me as I was reading. I was like, okay, Clash of Civilizations. And the fact that I have somehow managed to befriend for a decade a person that somehow ended up um, wanting to torture and make me a mind control slave with multiple personality disorder. Um, neurodivergent stories. Um, and here's the thing, we're not stupid. It's just that we don't conclude that other people would get to that level of programming. It's not even, the neurodivergent mind will always try to see the mechanism behind something. And it's like, well, that stupidity is a derivation of extreme torture. And I definitely needed to defend myself from that. Um, and the emotional split between being upset that I talk about these things that they wanted to do to me, and the fact that they actually still miss me as a friend or whatnot. Like, yeah, Moon is in Scorpio. Um, it's some psychological trauma. Um, and another Slavic girl eureka that I had was when people, I guess it's not probably not just ladies or men who date men. When you are in, I don't know, dating or any type of encounter with a person, and they start normalizing or casually joking about anything affiliated with, I did not know that cougars were something to do with working ladies. Like, I'm not acquainted with that jargon. Um, I know that us neurodivergents can take a moment to, or several days. And in the meantime, we're going to blame ourselves that we're not communicating, that we still need to process information. Falcon, block. It was a really horrible Slavic accent. Block them. Okay? Because to us it seems like we just assume that the other person is neurodivergent and was trying to make a joke, be funny, and communicate with the other sex. The other side might be thinking that they got a person that would be okay with that in whichever context that I don't know what it means. But that's not, you know, go Slavic girl on it. Sometimes you need to go Slavic girl on it. Yeah. Um, and this is where, okay? And here's the thing, it's not about not giving people a chance. It's about when there's two neurodivergence, the paramount, like it's just going being economic about how much misunderstanding do we allow to begin with in our human interactions. Um, Sun is conjoining Black Moon Lilith at 26 Scorpio. Um, and by the way, I I don't think I need to say that, but don't revenge people. Like, revenge is for people that understand human interactions. Neurodivergence don't have that. Anything we're gonna do is going to perceive like we're vengeful anyway, and for us we're just paralyzed for 20 minutes when there is a phone ring, and then there's another side that probably thinks that we're neglectful or giving anybody silent treatment or whatever. um, just like um, now Mercury is 0 degrees Sagittarius, which means that by tomorrow it's probably going to ingress into Scorpio to meet the Sun and Black Moon Lilith. I want to talk about Saturn-Neptune meeting in Eris. I'm still meditating on the meaning of Chiron and Eris conjoining next to the Rao of NATO because it definitely was supposed to heal the budget of NATO and bring it to the 5%. But what's Eris doing there is something that I'm still meditating on. And it's next to my own Mercury. So I just, when a transit happens so close to home, so to speak, um, then it's sometimes difficult to have a good reading or appraisal of that, even as an astrologer. So Aries is the planet of chaos and being disincluded, included. Like, I don't really know what's going on. I know NATO has definitely come to include many countries. Um, Recently, I saw Slovenia, both Nordic countries, extending into Finland, and each and every one of those countries had to raise the bar to spend the 5% from their own budget. Um, so that was a huge challenge. that that Secretary General Rutte has withstood quite profoundly. Um, I know that people mention that he was in different interests when he was a prime minister, and that is true. He served a different organization, and he budgeted differently for that organization. Um, but I still struggle to understand what, like, I understand the Chiron, that's like remediating the wound around the 5%, the budget, but I don't understand the Eris. Now, yeah, I mean, there was this kind of like throwing chaos into the air with the Arctic, but I don't know if we've been really exposed to that, um, or if I can see Aries playing a part in that and delineate that as per the Rahu of the military alliance. Um, and I really don't know to read that. I mean, Aries could be the cloning project, Aries could be LGBTQ, Aries could be reincluding by chaos, Aries could be creating chaos. Um, so it's difficult for me to have a clear interpretation here. Um, and it's also to do with occult. So perhaps there are occult type of activity to do with Aries, or the spiritual warfare, because we're still talking about. I know I talk about the fact that we won't have another Gladio century, but we're still in the Gladio century. Okay, and a bisextile activates that, where NATO is expected to NATO and reinvent Gladio. So very likely has to do with the spiritual warfare as well. But I really don't know. Um, I don't have a clear reading of what is this Eris doing around this Rahu. Now Saturn Neptune. I was talking about Neptune conjoining Eris in 15 years and hitting that Rahu. But Saturn Neptune is also a reality check on wave-based weapons. It's also a reality check on the mafiosi and drug-based funding on a global scale. For military alliances, it means what money was laundered through drug trafficking and how it ended up in weapon trade, and how does that affect, because that can lead to missing weapons. Okay, weapon deals can go missing, planes can go missing, combat planes can go missing, not by the merit of Jupiter, but by the merit of Saturn checking up on Neptune. Due diligence, I didn't mean to trigger anybody. It's a triggering term per se, but due diligence is a very eighth house thing, and we're going to have the equivalent of due diligence in NATO chart. Read it for NATO chart. Not gonna talk about it in those other charts. Of Virgo ascendants are expecting due diligence. um, but this is the thing. I'm wondering about the way that Saturn would play out with the wave-based weapon. So Saturn is ruling over Pluto, and there can be leaking of radiation, but also kind of like a mishap or an accident that sets a really big worldly scale, wave-based or laser-based, which is a class of wave-based weapon. Um, so this can give us a little bit of a reality check of both the weapons that NATO has, but this is going to it's going to be on a worldly scale activation, not just because of the military alliance, but also because it's Eris, and Eris is the sign of war. Let's go take a look at February 14. Very easy to remember. It's Valentine's Day 2026. I remember when I was extremely tortured and combating a lot of dumbfuckery. I made a joke about February 14th. Somebody just pushed some social engineer with literally my mother's book, first book, which was beyond weird, and they got the reaction out of me. I wasn't even trying to not react at that stage, but this is Saturn ingressing to Aries, February 14. But that just came to mind. Mercury is going to be in 11 degree Pisces with Rahu. Mars, where's Mars? 16 degrees Aquarius. It's going to be around the Mars. It's going to be around the Mars return for Elon Musk. Um, Moon is going to be ruled by this Saturn, yet activating this Saturn on the ingress. Moon is going to be in Capricorn. So this is going to be Mars return for Elon Musk. Musk should be paying attention very. For those who read into like Starlink or probably Elizabeth April got a notice because um, she should be if she's looking into that, she should be looking into that in regarding to Elon Musk, because there's going to be some fated events that are going to affect the 2.5 year cycle for everything Elon Musk. So we talk about Starlink, Tesla, the kind of JP Morgan Chase thing he's doing with the stocks. I don't know. He has a housing project launching. I received something about launching. Um, so for those who are doing white hats, it would be interesting to hear. Um, Probably a lot to do with the digital currency. We humanity has managed to make gold out of mercury. That means that the gold standard is fiat. I know that the white hats hadn't exactly presented that in that way, but it can be that they were just misinformed about the fact that we managed to produce gold out of mercury, okay, which renders gold standard fiat. Okay, just, just mercury is a byproduct of industrial revolution. Mercury is mercury, but mercury in excess is a byproduct of industrial revolution. And on the good side, we're gonna get this mercury out of the salmons and make money of it. So this is a genius idea. Energetically, that gold is probably going to have some sort of an alchemical property that is a solar mercurial quality, but it does render any currency, digital or not, based on it, as good as fiat. Okay, if we can print gold, we can print paper money. Gold and paper money become the same thing. How will it affect the prices of gold? I don't know. For example, with diamonds, there are lab-made diamonds and regular diamonds. Naturally, lab-made diamonds are not the same price, but they are also considered more ethical. So I went to a jewelry shop and asked if they know if they have a line of jewelry with mercury transformed into gold, and she was trying her very best to be a good service and pretend that she didn't think I'm a walking alien. So she offered me some lab-made diamonds to see if there is something that she can help. As a person that worked at the service line, not of jewelry stores, I can totally relate to her experience. But I guess I was the interesting client of the day. Um, so more things to do with Mars. Mars will be ruled by Saturn, which is a telltale that the reception between Saturn and Mars is awfully frightening. However, the good thing is that none of the malefics get the upper hand, okay? Which creates an egalitarian power to this conjunction. Now, I'm not saying that from a moral standpoint, I'm saying that from an astrology standpoint. If we take from Hellenistic astrology, which you can study by Chris Brennan, and talk about the sects of light, of night and day, sun and moon, Venus versus Jupiter, Mars versus Saturn, and Mercury, the planet that is of both sex and no sect. Which, by the way, that property of Mercury is going to probably still be maintained with and alchemized into the gold that's manufactured by Mercury. And I predict it, first of all, to be, yes, compatible for a global currency, and perhaps in a roundabout way by that property create some sort of unprecedented stability, but not in a way that we could have predicted for currency. Again, I could be absolutely, totally, and completely wrong. It definitely will bring volatility to the gold market that wasn't there before. And my prediction is that it would be almost impossible to separate which gold was created by mercury transmutation or originated in gold. And because we won't really be able to approve that, then we won't be really able to discern which is which. I mean, that was the point, that it's actually gold. So I don't predict the separation as exists between lab-made diamonds and natural diamonds to exist in gold to the point that we can set a currency on it. Okay, it might not even exist in diamond, but up to today, I don't hear of currencies that are diamond-based, and good, goodness gracious that we don't, because this is a horrible market. Um, Now, the fact that Saturn and Mars are having a reception where Saturn is in Mars sign and Mars is in Saturn sign, tells us that it's going to be equally creepy for both day and night charts and equally blissful for both day and night charts. It simply means that Saturn and Mars are becoming equals. The tradition of Saturn and the innovation of Mars. Okay, think about if you only know about currency being one way when it's fiat and one way when it's gold standard, then immediately you say, oh, they're going to adjust the digital currency to the gold standard. Cool. We get good riddance, fiat. So there's something about this technological innovation that can actually have merit. Mars can say, well, dear Saturn, wait until you hear what gold, because we just managed to make alchemy with the gold standard. Humanity has literally not known an alchemy-based currency. We knew silver-based currency. There were rituals embedded to the silver, but we did not know, okay? There were fake currencies. There was the relaxing of how much copper and how much gold and how much silver is in the coins in Rome, but we did not actually know an alchemy metal based currency that's not just by consecration, okay, and stamping. It's by the very creation of the metal. I think the creation of scented candles is the best analogy that I can have. Or even, don't laugh, body butters, because when we melt, let's say, shea butter, or when we make a salve, um, you can think about that as a currency and try to think about what would be the properties of that currency, because it's basically a process of melting, and probably there's a nuclear process involved there that emits radiation, which means that we are going to be based on a radioactive currency. There's just a lot of things, my mind can go, it can go on like this for 3 hours, just thinking about what would be the nature of that currency. Saturn definitely doesn't stand a chance and cannot hold the water to make predictions here. Doesn't mean that he doesn't have anything to contribute. And Mars has definitely gone scientifically revolutionary, so much so that it cannot predict the implications of its own actions. If that rings Elon Musk to you, then Elon Musk does have a Saturn-ruled Mars, so he definitely can have good predictions. He also has, I think he has the 29 somewhere. So that's not. So Elon Musk can predict, which perhaps some should say should be held accountable. I don't know. But this particular Mars, ruled by Saturn, is leading us back to a certain loop where there is limited predictability to the markets, to the actions, to the weapons, to anything that happens upon that ingress. Now, I said that before, that a lot of chaos magicians that don't work necessarily for the light summon chaos only to find out that it brings clarity in ways that they themselves did not predict. Now, if I, as a person that is transparent and wants to see, the truth and be of benefit, that is of benefit to myself and humanity, then I would have more problems just like processing what I see, okay, running into what the actual prediction is, and less problems when that prediction shows up and brings clarity in favor of the light, okay? But those that summon chaos to control to create control need to remember that we're not living in the 60s anymore, and Pluto is not conjoining Uranus anymore. Okay, right now Uranus is trining those late Plutos, and is trining Pluto. Um, but and perhaps the children that are born during this bisextile will be able to control cows more. Um, but what they need to remember is that this cows does bring clarity, and if they have been summoning the cows to mind control or enslave humanity, this will definitely be clarified. Okay, it would definitely be seen. It would definitely be addressed. And the new world order might not be what, how should I say that? Probably before the two world wars, people didn't think they would end up with women having the right to vote, okay, and attending to abolishing anything rapey also within marriage and outside of marriage, thereby completely nullifying every wealth consolidation practice since antiquity. This is scientific revolution, okay? The pill, not necessarily. People were expected to be dealing with the results of accidental pregnancy since antiquity, and they made all types of animal skin, okay, way before French letters even. Now tell people that I'm not a clone. um, I was just reading too much old literature when I was a child. Okay, I had a bad childhood. I was reading books. So, okay, so the pill wasn't a big revolution in that sense. The right to vote and the right to have a bank account and then the right to divorce, um, that was actually revolutionary. Talking about sexual boundary violation, which left all the secret societies and fraternities completely dumbfounded, because men did that to men way before men did that to women, and call that initiation or time travel, um, which, okay, probably we're going to have another discussion around that with Saturn Neptune. Um, this is also reality check to those very secret societies and all the drugs and trade based upon them, and those wealth consolidation practices of intergenerational wealth to do with oil resources, but the fission and fusion nuclear energy, even to power cities. Okay, Pluto in the sign of air is the fission fusion energy more so than a nuclear bomb. Okay, it's the nuclear energy more so than a nuclear bomb. Um, doesn't mean that we don't get like nuclear bombs. It just means that it's about the science of the nuclear and the science of the nuclear energy more so than when Pluto was between Cancer and Leo, and the bombs dropped. Okay, the bomb or the A bomb is a persona that has the power to throw out kingdoms. Okay, for their record, or to birth a new world, which is the threshold of the end of Cancer and the beginning of Leo. Okay, um, Cancer birthing, Leo here being new leadership, new rulership, new kingdom. Probably they were thinking something along the lines of kingdom of heaven. and total control by one monarch or something. Like, I really don't know. I'm just trying to delineate astrologically. Whereas Pluto in Aquarius is way more decentralized, um, making it way more challenging. One of my eurekas when Pluto ingressed from Capricorn to Aquarius was I was saying decentralization as a mantra with Capricorn, only to find out that several banks that were affiliated with wealth consolidation by extortion calls and child trafficking actually have decentralized cooperative structure. So that was my, um, there were many good predictions that I made, whether it was biodiversity, removing the inbreeding. Yes, sexual sovereignty is probably my greatest contribution to anything since the foundation of species. Um, and I don't think I exaggerate. In fact, I think that this is humble, not because I pride myself or anything, it's just something that I ran into in my life. And I'm like, why is that so important? I was just like scientifically curious. Why is sexual sovereignty so important? And the answers that came uh, led to probably the biggest contribution ever in the science and nature of the ontological unit called human and even animals. Um, However, when it came to decentralization, that was not my biggest predictions that were borne out, not because we don't have decentralizations, but because I was um, quite exaggerating and biased by Pluto being still in Capricorn at that time, thinking that this would solve the problems of power abuse. Definitely, hierarchy is a window to power abuse, but the totalitarian cooperative nature, okay, is at the upper echelons. Okay, and I think Light mentioned that they replace they replace the head of the organization consecutively so that they wouldn't be easily discovered. And hey, that's a dumb fuckery that was lying dormant, and I didn't predict. So that was not my uh, sharpest moment of intellectual pursuits. Yes, decentralization is important, but we also need to tend to what happens with the structure of a decentralized cooperative. Particularly when that cooperative is mind controlled and mind controlling. So, okay, that is something to think about. Um, More to do with we probably will have the implications of radiation being more apparent. Neptune rules both radiation and disease, probably inflammation caused by these, overheating of something leading to explosion and radiation emission can be an issue upon the ingress. Again, nothing we haven't dealt with, it's just that this one is going to be on a worldly scale. Now, I'm not from the people who say it's Armageddon times. But of the transits that would be suspected to Armageddon o'clock, this is probably where the apocalypse fans have definitely been getting to meet their predictions or the movies in their head with reality. I think when Saturn conjoined Pluto and Jupiter in Capricorn, We had COVID and the entire world looked like North Korea. And I had a thought in mind that said, now we all get to feel like a little bit like Palestinians for a day. And that just crossed my mind. Um, Several years later, we will have the big outbreak, and Eris was also associated with the watermelon boom or the watermelon intifada. Um, I'm not going to make predictions about where it's stemming from. I'm just saying that the fact that Eris coincided with the watermelon intifada and with the mantra of with trickery you will make war um, of certain intelligences is a striking composition regarding the fact that Eris is not the least bit Neptunian. It means it doesn't have that type of a dual nature, nor is it in Pisces, okay? So that is a striking composition that I think even my colleagues there don't dare to touch even that. And then I am talking about cloning projects, which is awfully coming to the forefront with Aries. So um, yes, being a neurodivergent astrologer has its merit. Definitely, like I can definitely say that this is. I'm not the most talented astrologer. I'm not the most well thought astrologer. There are many things and people. There are many people way younger than me that know about the types of astrology and the combination between them way more than me. But it is inarguable that I'm probably the most interesting astrologer in these times. And, yes, and I'm the original. It's very weird to talk about that when we talk about clones, but if people, you know, copy that, then it means they will also have to um, take the fire um, and and other people will be able to discern that without me even knowing about that. And then if they run into me, they're like, okay. Usually, the person that was more messy and less known is the original, and it's worth the while to listen. You know, if you get the chance to find a channel or run across information that is kind of more messy and not really always, you know, put together and so on. Do take the time to listen to that. You will gain from that more than some of the well thought out, highly mockingbirdy things out there. Again, I'm not talking about astrological teaching, I'm talking about predictions. It may be true to astrological teachings as well. I mean, Nicola Stoyanovich was considered very scattered, but he brought the degree theory and certain things that if you listen to Nicola Stoyanovich and you could carry through the messiness, although he was a Virgo ascendant, which is interesting, then you would gain wisdom that you wouldn't come across in many other well organized channels. And those high profile, well organized channels are very, very good, but they can't say even the tip of the iceberg of what I talk about. Okay, they just do the SEO differently, and it's also, to their defense, their main source of income. So they, but they are also the basis to channels like mine, where we can take that information, apply it, and then talk about the fact that, hey, Eris is also the cloning project. Eris is also it's both the with trickery you will make a war and the watermelon boom. Um, okay. Aries, I think there were some Slavic astrologers that talk about um, the jabs as Aries or bioweapon as an Aries thing. So particularly the astrologers with big Aries placements. I have the square. Um, Teacher and colleague Austin Kopuk has the moon sextile. So I have the moon square. He has the moon sextile. Um, um, I think. Oh, Chris Brennan now has the moon sextile transit. Eris is transiting the late deacon, Aquarius placements. Okay, so those are people that, for example, that is predicted to be until the 50s. A transit where Chris Brennan will change the nature of astrology, or even how we use astrology. I have Mercury next to the Eris, so I'm probably a part of his transit. Okay, it's like, oh, there's a person that studies astrology by that and that person, and then they talk about all these cloning things and stuff, and so that can be okay, but that is only a part of that. The people that have late Leo moons, Lada Duncheva has late Leo moon, Magha Nakshatra moon. The Pope Leo has placements. I think his moon is also in Magha Nakshatra. They have the trine to the transit in Aries. The late Scorpio moons, no, the late Scorpio moons will be in conjunct. The late Sagittarius placements, which means that Aries is now in transit trining my midheaven. Marc Dutroux has moon that now Eris in transiting Eris trines. Um, I did chart of Prime Minister of Singapore that has Sun, I think Sun or Uranus in around the galactic center that is now trined by Eris. And he was elected to be Prime Minister in 2024. So those are people that would definitely change or be a part of major societal changes. And then there are the harder aspects. Okay, Meloni, Giorgia Meloni has a moon that is squared by transit in Aries. Mark Rutte is lucky enough to have two hard aspects to every, like, somebody hold a candle for Mark Rutte. Like, and Jupiter, okay, is squared by Aries and Chiron right now. That conjoin the moon. Geertje Wilders, moon conjoining Chiron and Eris, and he's been a major leader in the populist right-wing leader, called to nexit, called to have a Gilden, major opposition separating from Davos. Again, I know that there is lobbying and all other things, um, and other scandals to do as well. Um, but that's definitely can be the Aries being a societal change, crossing a person's personal planets, and populist leaders and the moon. Okay, the moon in a populist leader, the moon matters a lot. Okay, sun we usually do for leaders, but when we talk about populist leader of the people, the moon reading is very important. So when we read into Hugo Chavez, for example, we can't forget the moon. Um, okay, because that would be in what way is that person being populist? Yes, so for example, the Aries moons are about self-sustainability, sovereignty, and that being a populist value. Other moons could express it in completely different fashion. I don't remember what was the moon of Muammar Gaddafi. I know that now his son is returning to Libya, but that is another point to think about. And of course, the delayed Capricorn moons and early Aquarian moons are having Chiron and Eris squaring the moon, while Pluto was conjoining or is conjoining their moon. Yes, you can't have it all. But sometimes if the troubles arrive, they try they. I just think about the time where I had Pluto squaring my Mercury, which would be two moons that I talked about enough. As last deacon of Aries bunch assemble, including Rahu, or disassemble. um, Neptune going over my ascendant, um, and Uranus going over my sun, while squaring Saturn, where Saturn was in my 12th house during Saturn maturation. There are way worse things. But they do have to put up a fight. And some people have Aquarius stellium. Oh my god. Kira Ryberg. Yeah. Stellium in Aquarius. Oh my gosh. Um, that's Threads of Fate channel. I really admire her work. She would record. This is a strong Saturn stellium because she would record on particular election and then wait several months to drop the episode as though it was a talisman. That creates for a very clear cut and very, very top content channel. But yes, the Mercury Eris person is the person. I have Eris in Eris conjoining my Mercury, so I plead. I plead to a pardon. Delineating all my colleagues' charts, which is the biggest no-no in astrology. Um, so, um, yeah, so that's about Aries, Rao, and Nato. Because we had Aries in the original chart, it was closer to Mars and Venus, closer to Mercury, which is ruler of ascendant. So Nato kind of has Aries with the ruler of ascendant, and indeed, it definitely changed the face of society, whether we like it or not. And it definitely involved the creation of a lot of chaos while doing that. And now this Aries is going with Rahu. Um, so this is a Rahu where it's going to be both benefic and malefic. That one was malefic, but indeed it had a benefic result as well, because Rahu to begin with was in the third decan, and then the ruler is in the first, bordering between the first and the second decan of Aries. Um, I saw that there were a couple of Caribbean countries that decided on a no border policy, a la European Union. I don't know if they're going to have a currency or anything, but I find it fascinating. for people that have their astrocartography in good alignment with the Caribbeans, that would be great to, if it's safe to travel, said the girl that broadcasts from Palestine. Um, that can definitely be Eris and Chiron on my Mercury. Um, when you have a galactic center midheaven and the other planets just tell a story, then yeah, um, please do not compare me to Stalin. Okay, I know the similarities, um, astrologically speaking. By the way, there are some who would put my ascendant in Aries if they calculate day and time, day and night. Although it's really, I don't know where would that put my midheaven. But I kind of noticed that the Pisces galactic center, ascendant and midheaven, tend to be so predictive. Um, I would need to see something major going through. But the Aries, the middle decan Aries, is also a way to read into that, um, which would put astrology in my ninth house, make me astrology teacher with Ketu in the ninth. Um, so yeah, and I've had some corporational work, so that could also be um, every now and then that would come. Whenever I think it would be trying to delineate my ascendant with Orpheus. It's coming up with the same. And I do predict that my Neptune is either in my 10th house or next to the midheaven because it makes sense for such an astrologer that had some mythical importance by the merit of them being in the wrong place at the right time consecutively and for several generations. It makes sense that people would think that would see the very delineation of their own chart um, as a mystery Neptune. So that's my prediction. Yeah, it's not intentional, but that's the way it is. So probably somewhere along history there would be teams of astrologers that say I have ascended mid decan Aries, and some would say mid decan, last decan Pisces, and then sidereally, um, both of them would be in Pisces. It would be first decan Pisces sidereally. So that can fuel a conversation of day and night watches, if they are relevant, if they are not relevant, which is no less important than the sidereal and tropical zodiac. And I'm one of those. If there's any more controversies to my natal chart, um, and of course, was I born in Israel? Was I born in Palestine? Um, probably 2000 year, 2 3 centuries from now, probably people would say I was a famous Palestinian astrologer Um,